Hello, and welcome to this week's Movie Math, where I have some good news for you, and that it's official. Opening weekends are back, baby. Oh boy! Yes, Venom not only posted the best opening weekend of the pandemic to date, Venom, beating out Shang-Chi, Black Widow, and F9. Two of those are MCU movies. But it also did boffo business by any standards, topping the 2018 film's debut, and is right behind Joker's record opening weekend for the month of October. It almost beat it. That's incredible. So now that opening weekends are back, huzzah, the next trick will be bringing back total grosses, because so far, we ain't there yet. We ain't even close, unfortunately. Domestic will be easier than global, though. The first Venom actually didn't do that well domestic. It only got to 213. Shang-Chi's almost gotten that itself. But as for the international market, which is a little dicey right now, in fact, some places, many of you are reporting that you can't even go to the movies if you wanted to because your theaters are still closed. But it's Bond that's opening up markets overseas. Opening this weekend with $119.1 million, where it's performing on par with the only Bond movie to ever hit $1 billion, and that's Skyfall. It's a wee bit behind Spectre in some places, but Spectre didn't leg out. Skyfall is the only Bond movie to join the $1 billion club. And it's the UK's biggest pandemic opening to date. Bond is the first pandemic movie to open overseas with over $100 million. Dune, in 3 weeks, has just passed that mark. No Time to Die has amazing pre-sales here in the States and in New York City. I don't know about you, but I like to go on Fandango and check out pre-sales. They have a nifty way you can do it now without pretending you're going to buy a ticket. Thank you, Fandango. And many showings, at least here in New York City, are almost sold out a week in advance. Like, you better get your tickets now. It's a great movie. That ending's controversial, but I really loved it. So I think it's going to do incredibly well this coming weekend in the United States to match its overseas performance. Skyfall opened with 88.3 back in 2012. Daniel Craig's been Bond for a long time. He's like, tell me about it. And Spectre opened with just 70.4 in 2015. Venom's 90.1 is the new number to beat, and we'll see if 007 can top it. Which, by the way, would be a nice win for movies overall, as it would prove that it's not just Marvel who can sell tickets. Because right now, that seems to be the case. Get in there, 007. Represent for every other franchise. What the great thing about the final Daniel Craig Bond movie is that it feels very much like a Bond film. As I said in my review, which is up right now, you could really see the Bond formula and why it's so popular in this film. So that's pretty cool. I'm very curious to see how it does. The domestic totals that are in No Time to Die sites are 304.3 for Skyfall and 200 for Spectre. So Shang-Chi's already also topped Spectre. As you can see, blockbusters make the bulk of their money overseas at the box office. And thankfully, both No Time to Die and Dune have China release dates. They need that Middle Kingdom supercharge to get anywhere close to $1 billion, if to $1 billion. And also China, well, we have to take their word for it, but they're the closest to being fully open ticket sales-wise. However, what's also clear is that theaters only is the way to go. What do Venom 2 and No Time to Die have in common, as does Shang-Chi? You can only see it in theaters. F9 was the same situation. So I have to say, that's pretty impressive. Although Scarlett Johansson settled with Disney, so they're all singing Kumbaya over there. But those other movies, so Black Widow was able to open about on par even with the digital option. But yeah, theaters only is clearly the way to go now. And Warner Brothers' bold move to offer a full year of digital day-and-date releases last year, they announced it at the end of last year for this year, continues to haunt them. I mean, I thought it was a good play when they did it, but I think this will be a cautionary tale for anyone who wants to make a promise for that long. I'd be like, just promise for the first 6 months maybe, and then be like, surprise, we're doing the whole year. Because I think that Dune and The Matrix Resurrections will likely be undercut at the box office because they'll be available day and date on HBO Max. I think that those two movies could perform on par with these other films, but there's no way they will because of that HBO Max option. They're doing the best they can with it, though. For instance, Dune, they already have them locked and loaded and ready to go on HBO Max, but they're going to drop a lot of extras with the release. And I think that's a nice thing to do. I mean, if you're going to give people the digital experience, why not giving them the full digital experience? I'm excited to watch all those extras. I think that so digital day-in releases are undercutting opening weekends, and I think the 45-day window is seriously undercutting all movies, domestic, and I think probably global totals. So that's why I think that after 2022, or maybe even earlier, studios will go back to the 72-day window for big blockbusters to make sure that they get the totals back up to where they're supposed to be. Now, I've seen some people argue, even friends of mine, well, the studios are making tons of money on streaming. Are they? And they did anyway. So they're going to want, it would be just horrific for the movie business if nobody could ever get to $1 billion anymore. I mean, we were just starting to populate the $2 billion club. So we can't have that. So I think the 72-day window is necessary to get a $1 billion movie. So I think they're going to go back to 72 days for blockbusters, and then you'll have mid-range and small movies that'll stick to the new 17 to 45-day window. If at all, I think they might all go back to 72, because streaming services don't need the theatrical releases, to be honest with you. They have enough fantastic shows and direct-to-streaming movies already being provided. They don't need the extra sauce of theatrical releases getting there earlier. So as soon as, COVID is mostly gone, I think they're going to go right back to 72 days. Back to Venom. This is a huge win for everyone involved. Sony was right to move Venom 2 up to October 1st to capitalize on the momentum of Shang-Chi, bringing everyone back to theaters, and to get out ahead of No Time to Die, which again is looking incredibly strong. I'm very curious to see what Venom 2's second weekend looks like. Plus, that end credit sequence that they didn't want anyone to talk about, wink, sure did do the trick of getting everyone into theaters. I told you that was a marketing strategy. It was a marketing strategy, and it worked. They were like, don't anyone tell anyone about this. Please tell everybody about it. I mean, the thing's floating around. The whole scene's on YouTube as of the movie hitting theaters on Thursday. I think it even got on YouTube earlier, and people still went. They still went to see it in theaters. And I think that people just wanted to see it for themselves. And I think the PG-13 rating was very helpful, as kids under 12 gave it the best score. That's so funny to me, because it's further, not only, I think because, kids are like, oh, I don't think I should be watching this. And Sony's like, no, you should totally be watching it. And I think this is further proof that DC miscalculated with Birds of Prey and the Suicide Squad's R ratings. Not to say there can't be R-rated movies. They're blockbusters. I think Logan worked, Joker worked, I think Deadpool. We'll see where Deadpool ends up, though. But I think that, that's fine. But I think that Venom clearly should be PG-13, and I think clearly Birds of Prey and the Suicide Squad should have been PG-13. And with this, Sony ain't they never were before, but it's just more proof, again, that Sony ain't never going to sell Spider-Man film and TV rights back to Disney Marvel. It's their only franchise, and they can make it work, even beyond the Spider-Man movies that they share with Kevin Feige. Although, let's see if they can bring Ghostbusters back finally. That's looking promising. But you can see why Feige is interested in playing with Tom Hardy's Venom, at least for a little bit. Fans love him. And on that note, this certainly helps Hardy's chances of becoming the next 007. They're sharing a weekend, they're sharing the headlines, and Hardy could be transitioning maybe to Bond, as he's on the industry shortlist of potential actors to take over the role. He is, I think, perhaps older than the usual actor who would do it, but I think they're going to want someone with a little bit of pull. We'll see. They said they're not going to discuss it until next year, but Hardy's on everyone's mind as a potential replacement, and this is going to help him. This will help him in general. Tom Hardy, he's a very creative guy. He's had a couple of movies that didn't connect, but I think, he's going to get something else off of this for sure. And it's a big win for him behind the scenes as well, because he's a main producer on this film, and he has a story credit as well. So this is a nice win for Tom Hardy as a storyteller, beyond being an actor. And speaking of storytellers, this is a huge win for Andy Serkis, who's been trying to break out as a director for some time now with very good movies, but none of them clicked. And he's finally leveled up to the big leagues. Good for you, Andy Serkis. He should also be able to get something pretty darn good off of this. And the question is, will he stay at Sony, or will another studio snap him up? And he's got a lot of friends all over town in Hollywood, as he's so prolific as an actor and has worked with pretty much every studio. So they've all got him on speed dial. I'm sure everybody's, I'm sure people, Andy Serkis might even get something before. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Will Sony announce a Venom 3? I think the end credit sequence makes you feel they might have to wait a little bit on that. We'll see. As for the rest of the top 10, the Addams family, these are Sony's #we love these problems. All right, so as for the rest of the top 10, The Addams Family 2, debuting day and date on PVOD, is number 2 in both markets, which is great, but I mean, that theatrical debut is a little soft. It probably would have done even better if it hadn't had a PVOD option. But still, that's not a bad number, and it shows that Sony, while they made the right call with Venom 2, dropped the ball with Hotel Transylvania 4, which was supposed to be hitting theaters right around now, but instead they sold it to Amazon, which still hasn't even dated it, and Halloween's coming up fast. Are they going to sit on that? I mean, that seems crazy to me. Adam Sandler's not voicing Drac anymore, but still, that's such a strong franchise. To not capitalize on it for the Halloween season seems crazy to me when it's ready to go. And another Warner Brothers film was undercut by that HBO Max day-and-date release. Although, it seems like The Many Saints of Newark is maybe just bad. And this is hilarious to me. I was like, who directed this? David Chase just got a huge deal at HBO Max. I don't know how they feel about that, considering how poorly the movie's done and how poorly received it's been. They're like, yeah, do more of that. Maybe not. We'll see. That's rough. But anyway, I was like, who directed this? Oh, so it's not David Chase. It's Alan Taylor. Do you remember who Alan Taylor is? He directed Thor: The Dark World, and he said, you guys made me want to quit directing because you said my movie was so bad and everyone bullied me. And it's like, we were right, Alan. You are a bad director. I mean, once again, Hollywood types should not be so quick to write off fan criticism as haterade when they could maybe learn from it. I'd be like, hey, Alan, instead of being all sad that, we said you did a horrible job directing, maybe you should be like, did I do a horrible job directing? All right, so with Venom hitting the marketplace, we finally saw some big drops with movies that have been holding impressively well over the last few weeks. Shang-Chi dropped significantly, over 50%, which will likely now end its domestic run with about 220 to 230, putting it on par with Doctor Strange, Ant-Man and the Wasp, and Thor: The Dark World for domestic totals. Free Guy finally hitting PVOD made it take a bit of a tumble as well, and Jungle Cruise fell a bit as families switched over to Venom 2 and Addams Family 2. Over on streaming, for the first week of September over on Nielsen, you're so far behind Nielsen, but their numbers are very interesting. What If is still stuck at number 8 with its 4th episode. Man, I thought that Disney Plus adult animation would go a little better, but so far, not so good. But Hulu now has 2 hits, with 9 Perfect Strangers still in the top 10 and Only Murders in the Building debuting at number 4. What a great show. I love that show. And by the way, Hulu is Disney too, so they're doing great. Nice to see Hulu start to do so well. Suddenly that Disney bundles, I still don't want ESPN Plus though. They should offer a secondary bundle, which is just Disney Plus and Hulu. Maybe Disney Plus, Hulu, and Live TV should be another bundle option because I'd purchase that. All right, Money Heist. Oh, I remember I didn't want Hulu, and all of you were like, you got to get Hulu, Grace. And I was like, all right. And I was like, this is a great service. It is. It's great. Money Heist also continues to be a huge hit for Netflix with the debut of Season 5, another non-English international hit for Netflix in line with South Korea's Squid Game. More on Squid Game in a moment. I just finished it yesterday. I'll be reviewing it this coming week. With spoilers. It'll be half spoilers, so if you haven't seen it yet, you'll still be able to watch the video. As for movies that week, Cruella was still at number 1 at no extra cost on Disney+, but Amazon's Cinderella, I told you it was a big hit, right behind it its debut weekend. As for Netflix this week, Squid Game, still number 1. While new additions, The Guilty and Maid, edged out Midnight Mass, although that's still going strong as people discover it for the Halloween season, so it'll probably play all month long. That's good too. I like Midnight Mass a lot. Netflix, they have good content. And Seinfeld debuts on the service at number 6, looking like it has a shot at being Netflix's new comfort food after it lost The Office and Friends. On iTunes, Free Guy, as we all expected, immediately shot to number 1 with its PVOD debut, and fans are already lining up for Venom 2, as it's at number 6 in a $20 pre-order. They don't even tell you when it's going to come out. That's fantastic. And the first movie is at number 3. Sony's just raking in the cash. And Marvel Disney doesn't participate in these movies. They don't get a cut of these films. This coming week, again, No Time to Die will also be theaters only, and we'll see if it can break Venom 2's pandemic record just 1 week later. It's getting awfully competitive out there. We love it. It's so great to see this kind of action at the box office. Over on streaming, bit of a slow week. On Thursday, Peacock debuts the first 3 episodes of One of Us is Lying, and Netflix has still come to play. There's a new Dave Chappelle special dropping on Tuesday. I'm going to watch that for sure. And new teen horror movie from Stranger Things producer Sean Levy dropping on Wednesday. And a new Pokemon movie on Friday. Those are Pokemon. Those are pretty good. Dave Chappelle thing's the biggest, I think. It's a little bit of a light week for Netflix. They're like, come on, come on, go watch the other stuff. It's great. Netflix is very good at keeping you on the service. So that's this week's movie math. What have you been watching? What do you plan to watch? And now that opening weekends are back, what do you think it'll take to get box office totals to be back as well? Share those thoughts down below, subscribe today, and of course, as always, you can check out some more videos right now.